Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Tech on Protection. Today I'm Bancroft from being joined by Jake, Jimmy, and Austin today.
What's going on, everybody?
Hello, hello, hello.
Jimmy's hiding in the background right now. He may pop in later, but he is here in spirit right now. But today's duel is Bernhan versus Jake's Ginyu. This was a very interesting matchup because I know Bernhan is very quick and to the point aggro, and I know Ginyu is aggro. So I guess the battle breaks down to who gets their shit off faster in this case. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Well, Austin and I talked a little bit about it after the game, and we think that it's the Ginyu. It's not so much the aggro that makes it so strong; it's the fact that it doesn't really have to spend a lot of energy to do what it's doing.
That's fair. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoy as we go over this duel. Click buttons and stuff like that, and let's begin.
I know, looking back on this match, Jake and I talked about it afterwards, and I'm so used to playing cooler and being so defensive and reactionary that I'm a little rusty when it comes to my aggro stuff now, and I didn't pace my burn too well because I had a very hard, for some reason tonight, even though I run 4 of each, that night I had a very hard time finding my drums and tambourines, and it really messed up my pacing quite a bit. And by the time I needed them, it was just a little awkward. And
well, you definitely give Ginyu a good push here, and we'll see. You know, as the game goes on, we'll see what happens. You know, not trying to give too many spoilers right out of the gate, but I think Gohan really tested a lot of decks at the tables this night, and it was basically, can you survive uninteractable damage?
Yeah, that's the nice thing about it, because when I saw with all the new stuff, just how much burn damage you can do, and at some point I do think I'm going to try to figure out how to get that 2-drop Piccolo Jr. in, because it's just so good in this deck. It really helps you get that finisher if you don't get the other stuff you need, because everything else, if you have your free play stuff, it's very hard to, because the only thing that plays off the leader burn is Bardock. The other ones have to be a Unison or a battle card. And the fact that in my opinion, the really dumb ruling of the Piccolo Jr. card where you pay 1 to do damage in your hand doesn't trigger Tambourine and Drum hurt my initial thinking on this deck. And one of the pacing I still got to learn is it better to do the 2 energy with King Piccolo right there on board, or is it better to give him 2 damage, then give him 11k in crit, or is it better to do the Unison? And because with the Unison, it allows you to have a little more defense, because you have the free counterplay Yamchas and the free Wolfang Fists. And I found in most, like, if it's more aggressive decks, I think it's better to have that defense option, but I think a lot of the time I went still with Roshi in my other matches tonight, when I should have just stayed with King Piccolo and doing the crit and being a little more aggressive.
Well, I think a lot of that just comes with experience with the list too. Like, this is only like the second iteration of this Bernhan with the new stuff in it. Like, I think after more because getting to stick that Bardock on turn 1 is scary, because even if they leave the energy open to negate it, it's gonna get in. So I think this archetype has merit. I think it just is gonna take a lot of brewing to get the ratios and everything just right.
Yeah.
And we've seen you experiment with a lot of different cards. Like, you're one of the players that will come to the shop with a combo or a unique piece of tech in a deck, and I'm always just amazed. Like, your blue Unison in cooler, like things like that you think of just are gonna let you crack this deck open eventually, I think.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I always like looking into decks and theory crafting them, and I know like with this round, like I said, I definitely wanted that Roshi Unison, because if you look at my hand, I have two Wolfang Fists, and I was like, man, I know I can survive at least 2 attacks. It's going to help me. And I didn't have a Yamcha in my hand, so I was like, I know that this is going to help with how many cards Ginyu spams out. And
Yep.
I think, go ahead.
Yep, there was a little bit of confusion on, like, I misunderstood how big Bardock was, so, like, Austin graciously let me take that combo back.
Yeah. Yeah, I still love, but I remember when Bardock first came out, I was so excited to try him in Burnhan, and that's another thing right there I always love in Burnhan is the free Videl blocker, just to give you a little extra defense. And in my first iteration, but back in set 7 when I played this, set 8 when I played the crap out of this deck, I loved using the free blocker Trunks with the wrench blocker and Videl, because you'd give them +10, and then they'd be 15k to swing at, and people wouldn't understand that. So you're like, swing with blocker, and they're like, what? Like, yeah, swing. It's 15k.
Yeah. It turns previously, well, Helping Blast was always solid, but it turns the previously benign Videl into an actual threat on the board.
Yeah.
I'm trying to set up Golden Frieza on turn 2, which is pretty much where my deck is where it wants to be, but I cut Austin off, so I'm going to let him finish his life.
Oh, that's fine. Now I was just going to just fluff around and say, like, yeah, that's really good for Videl. Like, it's a good free blocker, and the fact that you can just swarm the board helps. And I do miss the other Trunks blocker. It helped having 3 and 3 of each, but yeah, she helped a lot with those crits. She definitely served her purpose.
I mean, you want to pick up life to your hand with that deck. You don't want to send it to the drop area.
And one issue I had too is my previous iteration, I drew so much. It was insane how much the amount of card draw that old deck had. And not having that, I do really miss that. It hurts when you can't find the cards you need. And you have to rely on taking life or just kind of top decking.
Yeah.
And yeah, right here is where Jake, I was like, oh no. He got a little frustrated because I then will Fang Fist both of his games. Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm like, You
see him pause right there before he picks up the card.
I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, that was really punishing, getting double Wolf-Fanged for free and basically costing me my entire turn.
Right here, I think I charge a black energy here, and I had to deliberate really hard because, like,
it threw me off.
I had nothing else. I think I had in my hand I needed. I didn't like having, because that's the worst part of that Bardock is he's 0 combo power.
Yeah, I mean, it was doing nothing for you in your hand.
Yeah, like the only thing it serves that purpose is to discard it, to do the plus 10k, and the. I also found out too that it's just I run the King Piccolo from the draft box, the 3-drop double striker in this, and Roshi gets hit so easily and can't get markers fast. And so you need to have 3 markers in order to play him. And notice that it was a theme throughout the night whenever I drew him, like, I can't free play him. I think I even say that in this match that I can't free play him, and I thought I could when I was fighting Jake.
Yeah. I think you did mention that.
Yeah. And because Roshi for me, he serves his purpose. Like, once he's out there, he did his thing. Like, his whole purpose is just to burn. I never try to get the double strike. I never had the intention of getting the double strike. The whole point of me using Roshi is to get the free Wolf Fang Fists and the free Yamchas and to get that burn. So I can play the other cards.
If you hit the double strike, that's just gravy,
Mm-hmm. It's never an intent, but it's like a nice side effect if it does happen. Like, it's a fortuitous if it does. I think, here I was contemplating what I wanted to do. I told him right there, that's when I messed up my burn. I was like, man, I need you at 5 life. And I just kind of kept swinging. And I was I got a little frustrated there because I realized that I just kind of aggro monkeyed and didn't think about when I was swinging. I just wanted to keep swinging, and all reality, I should have swung at his unison instead of swinging at his leader.
Yeah,
I
you
just
probably could have removed it that turn.
Yeah, it was not smart of me to do that. I could have hit it down to, I think, 3. I could have moved that turn, and I just kind of aggro monkeyed.
Yeah, it was at 3, and between Bardock and Roshi, you could have killed it.
Yeah, that's if I'd swung with my lead to unison and then used Bardock, I could have gotten rid of it. That was a smarter play. Like I said, I was really out of this game after I'd realized that I'd messed up my burn. I got in a really bad headspace where I was like, oh man, well, I've lost now. The second that happened.
And I think you mentioned there's Raccoon into Showstoppers again. I think you mentioned after the game that Dormant not ending the battle really messed up your thought process.
Yes, it threw me off so hard. I didn't pay attention if you did it there, but I know at some point you do Dormant and then use Jace the blocker.
The Birder, yeah.
Birder, yeah. And that really threw me off too. I did not know you could do that. And already being in a weird headspace because I messed up my burn cycle, and then I had done that, I was just, this is not a pretty match for me.
Yeah. The first time I had somebody pull that on me, I literally asked them to stop playing and went and looked up a ruling.
I remember you telling me that. Yeah, it's so good. It really does. If you don't know that, it really throws your opponent off. It threw me for a whirl. But it's so good. I was so happy to see you play Ginyu because it is really one of the few green decks that I really, really liked. It's just so fun because you free play so much stuff and you have so much energy open and you just do all these fun things. And
yeah, you're really everywhere at once and you get to do it incredibly cheaply.
Yeah, and then there's really no need for draw because you're constantly looking through, and the fact that you can place your Ginyus back on top and play, with the leader strike, the combo of the unison, it just really allows for a lot. Having those Nappas in there, it's actually very smart because you don't need the draw power from a regular super combo.
Right, it very often with a swarm of 15Ks, you just can't really pose a real threat.
Yeah, it's really good. It was very smart. And it's just kind of absurd that you can get so much potential out of all the stuff with such little investment.
Yeah.
I really hope that this buff and that with any Helix Striker that I never knew about Helix Striker when I was playing Ginyu. The buff of that new card and then Helix Striker, just this kind of thing. I hope we see Ginyu a little more, especially the shop, because I really like seeing this. And it's so good.
I'll probably bring it at least one more time. I worked on this deck for a long time, and Helix Strike is actually something that Fluff turned me on to.
Yeah.
He played that in his Ginyu deck, and it was really effective, especially with the way you can look at the top of your deck so much.
Mm-hmm.
You almost never miss unless you just cast it blind, there's enough Ginyu forces in the deck that you can reliably do that as well.
Yeah, the only thing you could ever get hurt by is if you already have all your Ginyu force out. And
yeah, good thing about Showstoppers is it's not unique, so you can have multiple copies of Showstoppers.
That's very fair. But yeah, you really feel the pressure against Ginyu Force if you're another aggro deck.
And earlier you were kind of talking about being rusty, and these aggro matchups really test your deck knowledge and things like that.
Yeah, that's my whole I'm so used to playing cooler and playing more passive. Because I remember too, back when I played Burnhan, there were times where I wouldn't attack. People were like, why aren't you attacking? I'm like, nah, pass turn. Because I knew if I gave them that extra card in their life or I had them do this, they could get something they potentially wanted, and I knew I could kill them next turn. So with Cooler, where I'm just pacing I'm just like, okay, play this pass, and then I play on your turn mostly. it's so very different. It's kind of like there's a big shock compared to waiting and then reacting, where I'm being too aggressive and trying to force things too much.
Yeah, it's a big adjustment.
Yeah, I really do like that my finisher, though, is in this Fearless Pan, but it's really rough when you don't have the setup. And I really do think, while the Roshi burn is like really nice, it's just so frustrating that Piccolo Jr. card, you cannot just pay the energy and then take the life, because it was obviously intended. That's what really messes up. That's what messes up this whole draft box Demon Clan stuff, because that card was intended with the purpose of making that engine work.
Oh, I agree.
And like the ruling, like I know it's because of the battle card has to be in a battle card in place, but so many cards say a battle card here, there. Like if it's a drop area, pick a battle card in the drop area, and it's not considered a battle card unless it's on the field. But it seemed like a very strange ruling, and I hope Bandai comes in and says, hey, it was intended this way, it is considered a battle card. I really hope they do that, because it would make the Demon Clan so much better, because otherwise I'm having to rely on the Roshi Unison, which I honestly would not use if it wasn't for the fact that it just free burned. I would much rather use the Piccolo Jr., because that way I can get my Unisons up, and from Giant Force Piccolo Jr., that way I can get, because I damage you, and then if you take your own life, I get more markers. Like, it allows you to successfully get the Piccolo Juniors out. Sorry, Piccolo, and King Piccolo, double strikers.
Those will let you go get the pans from your deck as well if you can -6 them.
So that way you have the chance to draw pan from your deck. You have the chance to play pan for the drop area, because I play Familial Bonds, and it's just, you have way too much potential with that. Also, one thing that I put in this deck that a lot of people don't use the super common that much, I use the Bulma from draft box from set 9. No, sorry, set 10. Because you're burning yourself and your opponent so much that if your opponent isn't hitting you, you can still burn them, and therefore if you don't want to keep bursting your own cards, it allows you to still have that combo power. Like, I was at 5 one point with another duel, and some person's at 3, but I could still combo with Bulma because I had them down. And it just helped. I found out I helped a whole lot more than the Raditz would. Sometimes with the Raditz, because you're discarding cards from your hand with the tambourine and the drum, I found it kind of messed my tempo a little bit, so I didn't like it too much, and I wanted to test out the Bulma a little more. And I think I like the Bulma more.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting choice you made as well. And hearing you're supporting logic, I think you might be right. Do you run it at 2 and 2, or do you run 4 Bulmas?
I run 4 Bulmas.
Have you thought about running the red and yellow Whis super combos? Those might be good in your list as well. I
have, and honestly, if anything, I'd rather run the Nappas, because it's another body on the board, and I'm at plus 10k. I can, have a 20k. Then you add Pan, and it's a 25k double striker. And if I can, I'm gonna tweak the deck list a little more, try to make it back to more red-green, but probably only try to have a way to only charge 1 green energy. If that's the case, then I definitely have to get the Piccolo Jr. Unison.
Right. And there we rewound, because Bardock gets to restand when I activate a counter, and we kind of brushed over that. So we rewound to the main phase of Austin's turn and let him get his next attack with Bardock. Yeah, I had Kutsa anyway. So
I was so out of it when I did that. I was like, wait, crap, I can do that. And we talked. He's like, yeah, no, you can go ahead and do it. And because if he didn't have that, it might have changed the game. But he had his counter, so
I think I had Shocking Death Ball in hand as well.
Oh yeah, then it was definitely over. But yeah, this was even though it looks like a close game, it did not feel like a close game at all. That's just kind of how it feels with Burnhan, because with Burnhan, you're forcing your opponent to take life, and it's not by your own like strategies or anything. It's not like you really. It wasn't like I had planned it and I had to do like a lot of meticulation. It was mostly like, yes, leader effect, take a life. Yes, Roshi, take a life. Like, it's not a lot of planning. It's just like kind of like generic effect where you don't have to think about it. So even though it looks like a close matchup on this, I was like, oh man, I got my butt whooped. Like I did not feel close at all.
You're taking your opponent's life through card effects and not from controlling the board. I think is the term, like, is a good way to sum up your thought process really there.
Yeah. And it's just, if you see here, you can see I have the energy, the crit Frieza. That's another way to help get the tambourine and drum out because of the crit effect. There were times in the last week when I had literally just hard cast the tambourine for 2, swung just so I could get the drum and another Bardock out. And it just felt so dirty but so necessary. And it's really because you have no other way. Like, the tambourine and drums are fun, but man, if you do not get them out early, you don't have a chance to get them out.
I've actually learned that it may not be a bad idea to play tambourine. Especially in the very I play with Pan, but you play it for 2 energy, you swing like you just said. There's the crit that free plays the Bardock, and then you discard 1 card to play drum after that. Where instead, if you were to do the damage earlier, you may have to discard 2 cards to play both tambourine and drum. So,
I think the biggest issue we're gonna have here is, that we are with tambourine, it's just very difficult and drum to get them out, because if it was just like the leader effect, be a lot easier to get out the drums and tambourines, but also if that was the case, it could be easily abused.
Yeah.
So I understand why they didn't have it just be when they take a damage from a source. It was just like from a unison or battle card, which is once again why I really want that Piccolo Jr. out in here, because if we could get that in here, we could make the deck a little more consistent in the late game. You know, it's like, well, I got 4 cards in my hand. I'll play the Piccolo Jr. I'll swing, and then because of the Videls I can play for free. I can always have a thing to have a Piccolo Jr. Alliance, as well as because he's red green, I can get the Revenge Trunks back out, and I can also add the Nappas. So I think there's definitely some merit to figuring it out, and I think I might try to make it back to a red-green variant and not just mono-red.
Sounds good. Look forward to it. With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, buttons, click them, please. Thank you. And with that being said, Austin, any last words?
Just hope you all had a great holiday, and I hope everyone had some great duels, and see you the next year.
Jake?
If you want to win, you have to practice, and if you want good practice, or at least good content, tune into AOP all of 2021.
Has Jimmy come out of the shadows yet?
Yeah. Fuck Ginyu.
All my homies hate Ginyu.
Is that your final words, Jimmy?
Yeah, that's it.
Not if it burns when you pee.
No, I haven't been here for the whole commentary. I've been drinking my morning coffee.
Oh, okay.
So.
I just figured you would throw in like, if it burns when you pees, you must be a Ginyu player or something.
I gotta be here for the full time. Like I have to charge it up.
I got you. It's like your what was that?
Special
attack. Fighters, is that your power meter?
L3,
yeah, dude. I just been holding like 1 and 4 right now the entire game, just charging up.
All right. With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. And like always, read your cards, know your plays, and fluff out.